welcome to Perth Watch, your horology channel broadcasting from right here in Perth, Western Australia. Today I have the pleasure to feature a piece from Duxot watches. Now this isn't so much a collaboration, this was a piece that traded in for something that I put on sale, and this was offered, so it looked interesting, so I took it up. Now it is a dive watch, and I have tried not to do too many dive watches lately, but this is, I think, interesting enough for me to feature. Now Duxot is a company, I think, under Dartmouth Brands, the company that's an umbrella over Spinnaker, Aviate and whatnot. I read a couple of sources which said that, so let me know if you know better. But look, that's not necessarily a bad thing. They do seem to have a very simple philosophy of looking at vintage inspired design and upgrading it with modern watchmaking to make kind of watches that function in an everyday sense, that have practicality, probably waterproof, and also versatility in going from casual to more formal occasions. That's really what they say they do. Nothing more fancy than that, which actually I quite like. Now today's piece comes in this rather hefty box. Now this is more hefty than any other Dartmouth brand that I've ever reviewed, so this seems to be something a little bit different under that stable. So guys, without further ado, let's flip it around and take a closer look at what's in here. Alright people, so here we have the box on the table. Nice silver here. Now it does have a slip case, but I thought I'd kind of do away with that to save time. The inner box is this nice bright red. I'm not gonna... Actually, the spinability is not bad. That's at least a 3 out of 5. I'm surprised because this is actually quite substantial and heavy. One of the heavier kind of micro brand boxes in terms of density that I have ever seen. So the inner box is this, really quite nice reflective, I guess it's a piano red, not piano black, but a nice bright red here to match the outside. Right, and underneath there's felt, so it's nice and solid Duxot on the top here. All felt interior, which is pretty cool. And then that's the watch. I'm just going to put that aside. It's got a cushion here, of course. And then inside, what we have here is an instruction, I guess, envelope and warranty card, which is kindly left blank here. Now, just going to flip this through. Now, you don't really need to read this. I think most of you guys will know already how to operate this, off by heart. But I'll just kind of show you what they actually talk about in terms of screw down and how to set the time. Interestingly, the water resistant chart, oh, actually it doesn't have one. I thought I might discuss water resistant, but they don't have a chart here. A cleaning cloth, and then the 3 links. I usually remove 3 links, I find, in most bracelet watches, so 3 links I've removed in there. Okay, so I'm going to put that aside and then show you guys the watch in close up here. So guys, this is the Duxot or Duxot. Actually, I don't really know how to pronounce it, but the Duxot Maris True Blue Automatic Dive Watch. Model number is DX-2001-33 for this kind of a true blue color. They have a black, they have a green, I think they have a white as well, I want to say. Anyway, check out the website for the variations as you wish. The full MSRP is 770 USD, but in reality this likely only sells on sale, maybe roughly 30% off, I would imagine. Let me know if you know better than me, but right now the listed price on the website 770. Okay, first up guys, let's talk about movement as always, and you guessed it, it is the NH35A. Nothing too surprising, 3-hander date here. The rated accuracy, you can see there, this is actually running slightly slow for me. It's running actually a bit too slow for my preference. It's minus 12 seconds per day in the week or so I've had this running. So, if I was going to keep this longer term, I would be very, very inclined to open it up and regulate it myself. The quick set date in this case in the 3 o'clock window, it is black writing on white disc, so pretty much the default disc that comes with the movement I would expect. Right, moving on to the case. Guys, this is a 40mm case, so 316L steel, classic 40mm diameter. The bezel is slightly narrower, hopefully Yeah, you can appreciate that, right? I mean, the bezel is actually narrower than the case. It's 39 mil in the bezel. 14 millimeter is the full thickness of the watch. It's pretty substantial in terms of thickness, okay? 20 millimeter lug width, and the lug to lug distance is fairly substantial as well at 48.2 millimeters. I guess that's kind of expected for a 40 millimeter dive watch, that type of lug to lug distance. Weight wise, this is actually pretty chunky, as you can appreciate from looking at the kind of side here. 162 grams full weight with 3 links removed. Of course, if you have a larger wrist than mine, it's going to weigh slightly heavier. Right, moving on to finishing. So what we have here is brushing on the black PVD bezel. That's probably quite hard to see, but it is lightly brushed there. The brushing on the case, now the entire finish of the case and the bracelet, you know, is actually brushing, as you can see there, but there's differential finishing, which is pretty well done. Radial brushing to start with on the top surface of the case, longitudinal on the top surface of the lug there. Hopefully you can see that. Vertical brushing on the side of the case, and then circular brushing on the bottom of the case. So it's really all the different types of brushing directions you can find typically on watches. The screw down case back, as you can see, is polished, and that's a display case back showing that NH35, at least they've modified the rotor with their own Duxot red color there. Right, screw down display case back, screw down crown. Now, do I even call this a signed crown? It's just got a D on it, so yeah, maybe you can call it signed polished crown there. 200 meter water resistant rating is what they've gone for. Moving on to the dial now. Okay, so what we have here is, you know, a bit of differential finishing on the dial here. This is what they call a deep blue color. It is a deep blue. It's got a fine sand texture around the middle, and then it's got a fine azurage on the surround around that, and that's where the indices are applied. So applied indices here, pretty big indices, you know, the finishing around the metal there is brushing. It's printed words, printed chapter ring, and it's got matte finish for the cathedral handset. And that's a pretty cool handset, right? Very much a cathedral handset. That's rather unusual for a dive watch, the first dive watch I've ever seen with this, and I think that's a rather unusual thing to see on a diver. That's just, you know, in my experience. It's got a simple stick for the seconds. The lume, unfortunately, it's really only on the main hands and the indices here. It is not on the seconds, and it's not on the bezel, so it kind of doesn't really fulfill all the criteria to be a full dive watch. Lume shot right here, of course, to let you guys see how it looks like in the dark. Okay, now surrounding the dial is a dive bezel. Now this is a black ceramic gloss insert, right? Ceramic insert, 120 click unidirectional, of course. Now let's just hear it. 5 clicks. Right, 10 clicks, so 120 clicks all the way around. This is what this bezel is, and that's what you kind of would expect. Let me just get it exactly back to the 12 to kind of show love to my OCD friends who like it exactly at 12. So that's, you know, really doing it for you guys. On top of that, flat sapphire crystal, right, with some anti-reflective coating there. That's really what you're seeing here. Moving on to the bracelet. So again, I've mentioned fully brush here, so longitudinal brushing on the side, 3-piece per link. Solid end links, you've already seen that as I pan the watch around. Push pin adjusts, right, you're not getting screws on this watch. And it's got a push button deploying clasp, so just show it to you, with a 2-point micro adjust. That's what we're getting here. Nothing more special than that. Okay, so that's the description of the watch. Let's snap it on the wrist for a wrist shot for you guys now. And there we have it, guys, the Duxot Maori's True Blue automatic dive watch on my 17cm wrist. Blue sleeve to match the blue of the watch, kind of, today. Now remember, 14mm thick, 48mm or 48.2 lug to lug distance, and that's how it looks like on the bracelet. All right, fairly chunky, definitely, you know, rises off the wrist there, no escaping that. And you know, it's certainly got presence because it's a pretty chunky watch. Okay, that's the description, guys. What have I enjoyed about this watch? Now, I think it's a very interesting original. I think it's original. I don't think it's directly one-to-one homaging anything in particular, at least not to my knowledge, and definitely nothing very famous as far as I'm concerned. So original retro design, I like the retro feel of this watch. I think the cathedral hands are brave, right? It's brave of them to do that. That's different, and I think it kind of works on this watch. Let me know what you think about this handset. It's unusual, but somehow I think it's acceptable. The case is great. You know, it's a very nicely done case. They're very, very solid, and you know, good on them for doing the differential brushing, which is fairly well done in this case, I feel. You know, for this price, you know, who is going to get this? I think it's for the micro brand shopper, you know, watch shopper who wants something different, something that's not emerging and something different from, you know, the well-worn path, the more frequented roads. This is definitely something a bit unusual. Now, what are the weaknesses? Well, look, I think all brush finishing, it's kind of utilitarian, right? I mean, ostensibly it's a diver, so you kind of say, well, you're not going for bling here, but I feel that, you know, a little bit of polish would lift it. You know, I know the crown's polished, but a little bit more, I think, would lift it. You know, perhaps if they made that bezel steel housing in case, you know, instead of black PVD, and make that polish, I reckon that would lift the whole look. That's just my opinion here. I think that, you know, some level of polish, maybe a bevel, you know, those are the alternatives that would, I think, lift the overall look. I think it's top heavy. This watch is top heavy. There's no getting around that, and it's top heavy even on the bracelet. So if you're going to translate this into a leather, swap it out, I think that would be even worse. There's no bezel loom, there's no seconds hand loom, so, you know, I wonder why they didn't do that. That makes it not quite a diver, so you're going to want to consider that if you're looking for a proper diver that would actually show timing in the dark. This isn't the watch. And then at this price range, I reckon it demands a little bit more. I reckon it demands a better class, right? This pressed metal, it doesn't quite cut it, and I reckon they could put in screw links. That's my feeling of what they should be doing at the price that they're asking for. All right, so that's it, guys. That's my thoughts on this watch. Let's flip it around now for the wrap up. So there you go, guys, my review of the Duxot Maris True Blue dive watch. Let me know what you think about this piece. I think there are certainly some nice design cues on here. It seems to be an original homage, not really copying anything in particular, and it's a pretty cool design, especially that case. I really do like that case. Guys, if you enjoy my videos, do consider subscribing. New content every week, always aiming to be objective and unbiased about all things horology. Thank you again for sticking with me, and as always, I'll catch you guys again next time.